Life's good.
Hey, it's Diane, Key, and LG, and this is episode 57 of the Now What podcast. We are excited to be back at it again behind the mic, and we have a special guest for our patrons. Today's episode is about money, dinero, coins, moolah, dough, cake, bands, cheddar, stacks, pesos, and you don't want to miss it. Join in on the conversation at patreon.com/nowwhatradio or stay up to date on the latest episodes at nowwhatradio.com. If you're down for the show and support what we do, follow us on social media. You can find all of our handles in today's show notes. Now let's get on to the show. Key, I'll ask you to do the honors and introduce today's guest to the listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure, Diane. Of course, shout out to the listeners, shout out to the Patreon, shout out to the people that support everything that we do. Of course, it's not possible without you guys. Today, we have a special guest joining us on the podcast. We have a series that's going to be dedicated to growing our financial literacy. I know as a group, we speak a lot about being aware of injustices and inequalities and how to counteract and fight back. And of course, how to make things more equitable. And one of the things I'll share with our listeners is that civil rights is just one of those pillars that we need to be addressing. To truly be free, that also includes improving our economic standards, not just by being consumers, but also by being investors to really grow and build our wealth. One of the best ways that I've found is to do that is to educate ourselves, but also to learn from the experts, the people who have actually spent time in that environment, investing their own time, investing their own money, figuring out the game, mentors who could give us shortcuts, who can actually accelerate our learning. Today, I'd like to introduce someone who's not just my brother, but also someone who is a community leader, someone who is a distinguished gentleman, someone who is a man of intelligence, and someone who understands the business of finance. He's a vice president of investment solutions at Regions Bank. And I'd like everyone to give a huge round of applause to my guy, Al BJ Moore. BJ, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank y'all for having me. I always feel unworthy of such great intros, but it's good to know I'm not a slacker, man. So I definitely appreciate your kind words, man. Appreciate y'all having me, and looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that you've been into, man, is finance, man. Why did you choose to get into the financial sector?
When I actually first was I've had 3 times in my life where I changed career paths or what have you. When I was originally in high school, I think like a lot of guys, especially a lot of black kids from North Little Rock, Arkansas, we think what I'm saying, we probably want to go to college and go to the league or something like that. When I was coming up, watching you and my brother, like y'all were big into journalism, and like when I originally went to college, like that's what I wanted to get into. Just watching y'all, I wanted to get into broadcast journalism because that's what I did in high school. And so then I got to college, and actually I had a job at a TV station during the summer. Like it was going cool, and then I started to get active in some other things on campus, and I changed my major to history because I was like, I think I'm gonna go to law school. Like it's just kind of my thing. I've always been a big history buff. I've always liked to argue. Um, I've always been into intellectual jousting. So I was like, this would probably be good for me. If I can get paid to do research and like blame stuff on people, like that would probably be a good fit for me. And then like kind of triumph and tragedy. Um, my my mother passed away when I was a freshman in college, and my family, like we got like insurance money or whatever. We got like from her working, from her job. We have like insurance money. And knowing what I know now, I know unequivocally, like, if I'd been in that situation now, like I would have been, if I know what I know now, I would have been probably a millionaire 5 or 6 times over by then. But where we come from, there was really no presence. Like my family didn't have a financial advisor. So my mom worked for the university hospital for 20 years. My dad, 40-year military man. Independent carpenter, electrician, blue collar guy. Like our family, saved money for Christmas. And that was it. That was like, listen, you need to make good grades so you can get to college and pay for it yourself because, like, we don't have it for you. To make a long story less long, a little bit after this, I was kind of depressed, you know what I'm saying, still kind of sad. And this movie called Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith had came out. And I really didn't want to go to the movies. But I was bored. I had some money. I was kind of depressed or whatever. So I just went to watch it. And like it really changed my life. It's like as cliche as that sound. Like I sat in the theater, like the lights had came on. I was sitting there like literally like 30 minutes after, like they come in there sweeping up popcorn. And it was just at the right time because it just kind of showed this guy go through perseverance. You know what I'm saying? Like so much of his life had been tragic. He had been dealt with so many obstacles. And no, I was just inspired by that story, man. And I was like, I think that's something that I want to do. Now, I didn't know where to start to get going doing it. Like I said, a lot of people think, if you are an investment manager or you work in investments, most people do have degrees or MBAs, but that's not always mandatory. We are regulated by licenses. So, like a lot of people, and I'll tell y'all this too, a lot of people who might call themselves advisors, financial advisors, a lot of people can like sell insurance, but they're training for their specific company. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm a financial advisor," but like they're really not.
Absolutely, man. So right now, you mentioned you're the vice president of financial solutions or investment solutions with Regions Bank, right? What is that exactly?
Yeah. So basically, I oversee the northeastern section of Arkansas where I am. I oversee a couple branches, and they have some clients or customers who may have certain high balances, or they might already have like an IRA or something. So we're either getting them ready for retirement for people who are in their retirement window, 5 or 10 years, looking to retire, or people who have just had a significant savings, and they're like, hey, my money is earning 0.01% in the bank. Like what can I be doing? And I just kind of walked them through a process of being like, so this is what I would be doing. But first of all, like, tell me what your goals are, and we can kind of figure out from there, kind of how we should be handling it. People coming into life insurance money, like I did, and they're like, I don't want to spend this money. People who have made a certain amount of money, and they're like, hey man, like the taxes are killing me. Like, what can you do? Like, my thing is, it's not what you make, it's what you can keep. So, just all those strategies with finances, because the job is, I always tell all my clients, like the job is to ultimately replace you with your money. Like right now, you're working harder than your money. My job, when we get done, like your money is going to be working harder than you, so that you can take a step back, like, and worry about like the length of life. Like I take care of the breadth of life, so they can worry about the length of life. So I take care of all that stuff in between, so they can be like, okay,
I love that.
now my money is working for me, and I don't have to work as hard. Or another thing, like people who have small businesses, they're like, hey, me and my cousins, we have a paint company, we 1099s, like we need to start saving for retirement. I can put together IRAs and stuff like that for them, IRA group plans, so that they can start saving for retirement. So, in a nutshell, that's it.
One of the things that is so important is for every person who wants to make a dollar, you need to know where that dollar comes from and understand the economics behind it, because you can never put, all of your earnings or all your eggs in the basket of one person that's going to tell you to do this or that. Like, you need to do some basic financial 101 understanding, the basic concepts of financial of finances and economics. And the very first thing I think for Black and brown people is learning how to manage your money and having that relationship with money. We come from a place where our relationship with money comes from a poor mentality, and so it's really hard to change that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like I said, I had to become an adult before I figured out that I need to start thinking, like, so much of my thinking was from a paradigm of lack. And I need to start thinking from a paradigm of abundance, because that opens your mind up to so many more possibilities. Like, literally, where we're from, and Kekey can attest to this, like, we were bred to survive. Like, life wasn't about, like, thriving or, like Black and brown people where we come from. It was about, hey, listen, your job is to not go to jail and get a job and be able to pay all your bills on time, and you doing good. So it was never, like I said, we never really had.
If you're doing that, you are an outlier.
Yeah, you're doing well.
You made it. If you're doing that, you made it.
Because one of the things is we all agree that people need to get involved. We need to get involved with resources. We need to get involved in investing. We need to start making our money work for us. The sooner the better, because of that eighth wonder of the world, compound interest, right? So let me just kind of ask you, man, if somebody had $1,000, right, what advice would you give them if they had $1,000 to invest to start doing this today?
So even though, like, technically I can't give anybody advice, but let me suggest a few things. So firstly, what I always tell people to do, what I always ask is, what's your investment horizon? And that just means, what's the amount of time you have between you can deposit this money and between when you want to withdraw it and when you want to start using it. And because of that, that's why you can't really give, quote unquote, like, blanket advice, because everybody's situation is a little bit different. But here's a good rule of thumb. If somebody wants to look at it from a fundamental perspective, there is some truth, like some relevancy in investing in what you know. What I would do if I had $1,000, I would look at some strong mutual fund companies like Vanguard, American Funds, Capital Group, Fidelity. They break their mutual funds down into certain strategies. So you have income funds. Those are funds that you can put money into, and periodically they send you a check for the dividends. They create income. You have some that are value. So they invest you in companies that they think are going to grow a lot over the long term. They think those companies are cheaper than what they should be. So there's a value. Then they have, other growth funds, or you can invest, you can go to Dave Ramsey route. Dave Ramsey is real big on index funds. That just means, like, you put money in a mutual fund that kind of mirrors the S&P or the NASDAQ, whatever index you want to use. So the thing about mutual funds, most mutual funds, some of the best ones, like the good ones, you might cost you like $1,000 to get in. There are some mutual funds where you can get in for as low as $250.
Crypto is a hot topic right now, man. Why will it win or why will it fail?
Good question. And I've been getting a lot of questions about it. Last year, leading up to COVID, most of the questions were about marijuana stock. Everybody was trying to get in on marijuana. Like, now I don't get any questions.
It was the weed stock.
Yeah, I don't get no questions about cannabis no more, man. It's only about crypto. So
they've moved on. The cannabis stocks is dead, I guess.
Yeah, well, they just. I mean, it's really not too much of a difference. Like if you really sit down and the difference between cannabis stocks and crypto is that one actually has a product. So, but they're both just as volatile, and they both um, have regulation issues. So the reason why crypto could win. So here's what I say: just kind of have certain rules of thumb. I look at when we talk about currency, fiat currency, whatever, what have you. You always got to look at it. You always got to look in terms of your tax obligation for it, right? So, say Diane invests $1 into Dogecoin. 3 weeks later, that dollar is worth $10,000. It shoots up. Now, if Diane is smart, she'll be like, "Let me get my money out of it." And when it dip, I just buy back in. But when Diana sells at the end of the year, you're gonna get what in the mail? You're gonna get a capital gains tax. Essentially, you're gonna get a short term capital gains tax, which is even worse. So it go from being like if you hold it for a year, you can get long term gains, which is you want to have long term gains tax because that's a lesser amount. Now, because I can hear the comments section now. What's the point of if you're making money, you're going to pay tax? Yes, you're absolutely right. I'm not telling people not to make money because you're going to pay tax. But what I'm saying is it should be a part of your overall strategy. And if that's something you're not prepared for, you need to know that. Because God forbid you make $10,000 on your Doge and you run through it and you file your taxes next year, think you finna get a return back, and they be like, "No, actually, son, you actually made like $10,000 at 28% because it was a short term gain."
Right. I think what you're saying is just having that strategy in place, right? It's like saying, hey, it's not just about making money. It's also about understanding that you want to make enough money to cover the tax on this, any fees associated with that. All of these things impact what we call the ROI.
Right, right. And it's things you can do with it. Like I said, like some people are smart. Like if I made a big splash in crypto, the first thing I go do is go buy me some real estate with the gain because you can offset capital gains tax with what? With real estate purchases. That's why, and some of them will tell you, like the Grant Cardones of the world. That's why if you ever listen to them talk, like they don't ever sell. They don't sell any of their real estate because they don't want to pay taxes on it. They cash flow it, or if they do sell it, they take the proceeds and buy another property because it's all about like rich people understand it's not what you make, it's what you can keep.
Yeah. All of my friends who are doing well in crypto right now, a lot of them are cashing out and investing in other businesses, diversifying. I just went to a gathering where my guy who came up on crypto, now he has real estate, a bar, a brewery, but he's basically diversifying those gains. This question, man, I got for you is more about, success. How are you measuring success in your role on a personal level? And what I mean by that is, of course, we all have company goals and metrics that we are following. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, is there a personal metric of success? Do you
Yeah.
do you
So
understand that question?
like for me, like today is a personal metric of success. Like when people seek you out, or when people like make a referral to somebody that they know or trust for your expertise, like like that's success. Like you can like prospect, you can have all the
Mm-hmm.
marketing, advertising, like you're doing a good job when people are coming to you to like ask you what you think. So for me,
Mm.
like that's my success. So whenever I have opportunity to do stuff like this, Like it's kind of reaffirming myself and my purpose. So like I always say like, the way that God communicates with me, he like, I know that you need affirmation. So like he gives me things every now and then to kind of reaffirm what I'm doing. That's his way of keeping me on track to be like, so and to me that's how I measure success. Like when people ask you what you think, like that's a big thing. Like people don't understand
Yeah.
like the subconscious behind people, like because a lot of people they would never ask you your opinion on anything. They could not care less.
Hmm.
So when people are like, hey, and not that they're gonna take my advice, but when somebody's like, hey, we care about what you think about this, or can you share with this, like
Yeah.
that's how I measure success, because it lets me know like that people from my community, you know what I'm saying, are I'm able to bring value to them. So,
Absolutely.
and it's not even about numbers or accounts or assets under management. Just the fact that people are still interested in what I think is a measure of success for me.
Yeah, no, I was gonna kind of get us to a place where we can help people get in contact with you. So, one, do you only offer financial advising within the state of Arkansas? And if so, um, how do people reach out to you? Even if, like, let's just say we have our Texas people here and they hear this episode and they want to just learn more about you, what you're doing, follow you, get connected.
Sure. So I'm licensed in about 13 states, Texas being one of them, Texas, Arkansas. But like I said, if somebody's just like, hey, I have a question about, or you know what I'm saying, where can I find more resources for whatever, um, they can always email me.
Yeah, we'll be able to put all those places to find you in our show notes so people can find, and connect with you here, because I think that's important. Well, man, first of all, man, you've been awesome. This has been I've learned just listening to you speak about finances, and of course, I'm always looking to up my financial literacy as well. So definitely, we'll be having a lot more conversations.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your expertise, and everything that you brought to the show today. And yeah, we will absolutely have you back.
Yeah. I definitely want to talk to y'all about that thing that I got coming. That I definitely want to get y'all's support on, let y'all's platform know about. Learn some. I didn't bore y'all too bad. Sometimes I know I can ramble on, but so much thoughts go on in my mind that I'll try to get everything out. But yeah, I appreciate y'all having me, man. This was fun.
Yeah, man. Well, this is a podcast for high level thinkers, for those who are looking for solutions, looking to level up. It was a great conversation, great interview.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate it.
Now What is dedicated to topics and issues impacting the Black and Brown community, to elevate and empower our people, our voices, and our cultures. We hope today's episode inspired you to have a Now What moment. You can hear music inspiration for today's episode on the Now What Radio Spotify playlist. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and listen to us at nowwhatradio.com. Until next time, stay inspired.